Now, we're going to look at Article 11. Yeah, like I said, it's really unique in the constitutional world. It starts, l'Italia repudia la guerra. Now let's stop there. First of all, it says Italy. What does it normally say? Do you remember?
The state.
The state or the Repubblica. Why have we got this difference in language? Why? What do we mean when we say the Repubblica in muove o stacchio la Repubblica indivisibile, lo Stato costituisce o Perché Italia? What's the difference? Every word has a very significant meaning. Okay, so we mean by the state, we're talking about the central state. Well, we're talking about the parliament, aren't we? The legislative, executive powers that must do something. Yes? So that's the central state, the government, the parliament. When we talk about republic, we're talking about all that is public. But also the state. The state is public. So we've got the state, but also it goes further than the state. It says all the public bodies, all the public agencies, public water, I don't know, public schools and communes, anything that's public. But when it says Italy, we're talking about public and private, not just public. So we're talking about everything. Everyone, every citizen of Italy must repudia la guerra. So this is the difference. They're really widening, not just the public, but all the citizens, private and public. Repudia. Repudia is a very strong word, very emotional word for a constitution, because it really gives an impression of, really disgust, really being revolted by. So they've got the Costituenti have got this, just finished the war, haven't they? And they're not happy with war. They really hate war. They've seen it with their eyes and they repudiate the war. So it's not just a mild, we don't like war, we don't want war. They really hate it. So they put this emotional language. Now, you'd think every state doesn't like war, every state hates war. Not true. Syria, for example, in their constitution, calls for a rising up of the socialist Muslim people in rebellion. You do have some constitutions that talk in violent language. It's not all love and peace, but yours is very against the idea of war. Other constitutions aren't necessarily. Other constitutions call to arms their people against the Christians or, I don't know, anyone that's not part of their sect, etc. So, repudia la guerra come strumento di offesa. Okay. Now, and a libertà. So we've got to remember, every country is sovereign. Every country has self-determination. In international law, every sovereign state has self-determination. They can do what they want. They can make their destiny. Yes? Obviously, as long as it doesn't violate international law or other states doing what they want, and that's why we have treaties to make international law and to come to agreements. But we can't use war as an instrument to control people, other people, because other states, because they have an international right to self-determination. They have the freedom to be sovereign, to make their destiny. They are sovereign too. So that's important to say. So first they're talking about not controlling other states. Using war to control other states, no, we repudiate that. And mezzi di risoluzione della controversia internazionale. So we do have international disagreements, arguments, yes, and we can't use war to resolve those either. Can you think of any controversia internazionale? Can you think of any? I can think of lots. Where states, trying to be sovereign, two states trying to be sovereign, maybe they say, this is our fishing area. England always had problems with Spanish fishermen and Icelandic fishermen, fishing in their waters. That was a controversy. China has a lot of international controversies with Japan. They both claim an island. Can you think of any others? There's lots. I think every country's got some sort of international controversy. England always had an argument with Greece because they want their marbles back. We've got their marbles in our National Museum, which was stolen hundreds of years ago. They always wanted them back. That's an international controversy. Arguments. We had the Falklands. Argentina always claimed the Falklands. We always said, no, it's ours. With Spain, there's Gibraltar. We always say Gibraltar's UK territory, and Spain always says it's not, etc., etc. So there's always these controversies. Remember, we're a very, very diverse world. We have very different ways of looking at things. That means there will be even more controversies. Yes? You can't even agree on values and the way to perceive things. There will be a lot of controversies. But the war can't be used to resolve them. How can we resolve controversies, international controversies, if it's not by war?
Diplomacy.
Yes, true. What does that mean? Talking, yes, talking. Diplomacy just means we talk a lot. We're going to try and come to an agreement. Maybe we can have sanctions. Maybe we can say, well, if you're not going to do that, we're not going to do this. Yes, but we don't use force. We don't recognise that as a civilised way of resolving controversies. So that's the two reasons not to go to war. Can we go to war, ever? Can Italy ever go to war?
Yes.
When? What's the justification?
If we're attacked.
Good, self-defence. Well done. There is an article that we've all got a duty, a dovere, it's called sacro, dovere sacro, sacred duty to defend la patria. So we can, yes, and that is in international law again. Again, international law doesn't permit any state the right to self-defence. That's not a problem. So we can actually go to war, but for these other reasons we can't. Do you think the UK, United Kingdom, do they have the same assumptions about war? The same attitude, should we say attitudes towards war? What do you think? Do we repudiate war? Or say never to be used. If we look at the history, first of all, there's no constitutional bar on going to war. We can go to war quite easily. Not even the Parliament decides. Just the Prime Minister advises the Queen, and the Queen declares war. So she decides on advice of the Prime Minister. Not even the Parliament. We went to war with Iraq, or with Argentina, or with Afghanistan, on the word of the Prime Minister, one person, an individual, who advised the Queen. So, A, it's very easy to go to war, and B, we can resolve controversies, international controversies, with war. With the Falklands, for example, we didn't talk. We didn't try and persuade them, because they hadn't attacked anyone, they hadn't killed anyone, they just literally landed on the Falkland Islands. No one was hurt, but we insisted, or you go home, your soldiers go home, or anyone within 200, I think it was 200 kilometres of the Falkland Islands, a circle of 200 kilometres around the Falkland Islands, will be a target. And that was the ultimatum. We just made an ultimatum. Or you go home, or we're at war. We didn't try to convince, we didn't try sanctions, try to get allies, etc. We made the... So there is a difference. We do see war as legitimate in cases of principle, of being in the right. Yes, we can use force if we believe we're in the right. Doesn't matter if we're attacked or not. We can see that also with, for example, Iceland. There was a big controversy about fishing. We sent warships to protect the waters from Iceland fishermen. So, we were using our war assets to defend our waters from Icelandic fishermen. So we do have a different attitude, I think. We can say that. And maybe in the past, the English people have seen themselves as being, we are quite purist, and we believe we fight for the right, and we're fighting for good against bad, etc. We don't have to be attacked. In the Second World War, we went to war without being personally attacked on our islands, etc. So even though that's a completely different case, but we do see ourselves as the good guys against the bad guys, and that's enough. If we're the good guys, if they're the bad guys, that's enough to go to war, rather than having to be attacked. It doesn't have to be self-defense. Okay. Now, in the second part, this gets very interesting. It says, consente in condizio di parità con gli altri stati alla limitazione di sovranità necessaria ad un ordinamento che assicuri la pace e la giustizia fra le nazioni. Okay, so in this case, it's going further than Article 10. If we remember Article 10, it says, l'ordinamento giuridico italiano si conforma alle norme del diritto internazionale. This goes further. We don't just respect international law, we actually allow ourselves to limit our sovereignty. So that would mean we allow a higher body to have sovereignty on our territory. And we can see this in the European Union. The European Union can make laws that are immediately and directly applicable to Italy. And we can't do anything about it. Okay, so that's not just international law, that's a body, a supranational body, making and applying laws to apply on directly and immediately on Italian territory, even not going through the parliament. They don't have to go through Italian parliament. So that goes a bit further, doesn't it? It goes a bit further than complying with international law. Also with the United Nations, we could say, even though the United Nations don't make and apply laws directly on Italian territory, but they are an ordinamento che assicura la pace e la giustizia fra le nazioni, so we consent to the European Union doing this, and we could also to the United Nations. It does say consent, so it doesn't oblige us. We can leave Europe, okay? There's some that say we can't leave the European currency because but it does say consent. We can't leave the European currency because it would destabilise the currency, and in the Constitution it does talk about protecting savers, so that's a different thing. But this does say consent, so it's not obliging us to be part of the European Union, but we can allow our sovereignty to be limited. This is very, very different from the United Kingdom. One of the most fundamental principles in the United Kingdom Constitution is la sovranità appartiene al Parlamento, that the Parliament is sovereign. The UK Parliament is sovereign and makes the laws. So there was always, even when UK was part of Europe, it was not seen as being partly sovereign. Here it's saying, yeah, Europe is partly sovereign. We actually share, because it says in condizione di parità con gli altri stati. That means that we're not being subordinate to the European Union, or we are, but we're equal, we're in the law-making process. It's not other nations making laws for us, it's us and other nations making laws for everybody. It's sharing sovereignty. Yeah? We're not letting them just tell us what to do. We are part of it, and we're making laws for all of us. Yes, yes. So that our in condizione di parità con gli altri stati is very important. Because if it was just the European Union and we weren't there, or other states, and it was just laws for us, it wouldn't be allowed according to this. Yes? According to this, we must be in equality with the other states. So that's quite important. And yeah, we always know that Europe was to assure peace and justice between the nations. And so is the United Nations. You read the Charter of the United Nations, it talks about just this, exactly this. Then it continues, promuove e favorisce le organizzazioni internazionali rivolte a tale scopo. This really means that we can do peacekeeping missions for the United Nations. It means when there's Brexit, we're not going to take the side of the United Kingdom. We're going to keep solidarity with the European Union, because we're going to promuovere e favorisce le organizzazioni internazionali rivolte a tale scopo. So European Union and the United Nations are for this purpose, and we will favour and promote those interests and those purposes over United Kingdom who wants to leave, or any state that needs peacekeeping, like, I don't know, in the Middle East or after a conflict. We will try and help. Yes? Even if Afghanistan, we were there not to fight, or Iraq. Italians didn't do the fighting. They did this part, promuovere e favorisce. They tried to help build nation buildings. They were training police, local police, things like that. The Carabinieri went to Iraq and to Afghanistan. They were attacked as well, but yes. Okay, so any questions? No? So this with Article 10 is really entering into the international community. We've seen in the first articles, it's all about what Italy is, and then its relationship and values, relationship with the church, etc. And Article 10 starts talking about the wider community. Always about community, isn't it? These first 10 articles. Which is right, isn't it? If you think about it, you think these are values, and in a community what you need are values, shared values. That's what makes a community. If you don't have shared values, like for example, United Kingdom doesn't share exactly the same values as the European Union. It doesn't value solidarity. And I think that was one of the reasons why it left. It wanted independence. It didn't want solidarity. But the European Union values are solidarity, diversity, solidarity, free market, human rights. Yes, but we didn't want solidarity. So to be a strong community, you really need to share values. And these articles are all about sharing values and saying we share international, universal values. Okay, so obviously peace is a universal value. You know, even the most violent states still value peace on their terms, but peace is a value, so universally. Or you're an outlaw of the international community if you don't value peace. So, but this article, yeah, it's very international. In the last article, I can't really see it as a value, so, but it's in the 12 articles. It says la bandiera della Repubblica è tricolore italiano, verde, bianco e rosso e tre bande verticali di uguali dimensioni. What would you say about that? Anyone got any comments? Do you want to make observations on that? What do you think? What do you think when you first see that? Do you think it should be there or not? Or is it complex or simple or make some observations?
I think that, well,
Yeah.
I mean, it is not that it's important, but
Yes.
it's not even. I don't know. I don't think it's fun. It's a fundament.
No, in fact, yeah. I think they put it at the end because they didn't see it as important in terms of you know what you really believe in.
Also,
Yeah, I
because,
agree. I
well,
agree with that.
the first 12 articles can be changed, but I mean that one can.
Wouldn't make much difference, you'd say.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
If the flag changed, I don't think.
It would
maybe
change
people
us, would it?
Yeah.
No, true. No, that's true. It's not really part of us. I think being at the end, it's kind of like they'd argued. What's that? They'd argued for long period of time. I don't know how long it took. Probably took months to put these 12 articles together. And I think it was kind of the flag on top of the mountain, wasn't it? It was like saying, right, we've done it. It wasn't probably not, no arguments, probably decided in 5 minutes. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do we agree? Yes. Very simple. Got to remember, for the fascists, this flag was so important, wasn't it? Yeah? They see the flag, suddenly they've got all these feelings, these emotions, and these love for their patria. For the Costituente, I think they made it very simple at the end, kind of in the corner. They didn't want to they want Italy's work. It's not a flag. It's not some illusion. We're not the super race. And create some imagery of Italy being so. So I think this is where I see it. It wasn't supposed to be patriotic. Shall I say that? For them, Italy was real. It was a project. It's what we make with our hands together as a community. It's just a flag. It's not important. I think the fascists, they wanted, personally, I think they wanted to kind of be the opposite to the fascists. England is very patriotic, and for many of the English, the flag is very important. There was a big discussions about should we put the European flag in the same level with the Union Jack? It was, for many people, not right. For the Italians, it's not important. You put the your flag with the European Union. Some people maybe get upset. I think there was a bit of discussion sometimes, but generally I think the Founding Fathers didn't want to make Italy a flag. Okay? They wanted to make Italy a community where you work and build it together. Yes? And that's the way I saw Article 12. What do you think? Do you think Italy, the flag's very important? After Brexit, we had people walking down the streets with their Union Jack round them. Some very strong emotions. This idea, and that, I don't think that would be seen very. I think the flag of peace would be displayed more readily here and seen more positively. I remember after I can't remember what, maybe after Afghanistan, there's lots of flags displayed of peace, the colourful, multicoloured, and that seemed to have a lot of positive. In England, probably more flags of Union Jacks were waving when we were going to war with Iraq. So it's just a totally different attitude, I think. And I think this does reflect it. This article, very little simple article. Right. Now, we haven't done Article 9, I think. But we'll do that another day, because you've done a lot. If you want, because we've got to do this civic education, if you want, you can get going on that. Yeah?
Professore, stop.
Yeah, stop. By the